What can I give? I'm trying to replace the question, what can I get, with the question, what can I give? I was reminded this morning, I was reading in a book and it said, for the only problems I have are those I create when I break out in a rash of self-will. And when I am focused on myself and what I can get, my problems seem really, really big. My life seems crazy and chaotic, and I can't control anything. I can't do anything. And there might be situations where there are things that I can't control. But it's when I have that me focus and not a we focus, or not a giving focus, or not a listening focus. And I want to get things out of life. But what I've noticed is if I give, I get. And I'm just going to tell you a quick story about how that happens. Well, I was in a mood the other day, or yesterday was Thanksgiving, and let's just use that story. I was thinking of something else, but yesterday was Thanksgiving, and I was giving, and I was giving, and I was giving, and I was being of service, and I was doing these things. I was helping out serve food at an event, and but I was feeling burnt out, and I got then from that feeling good of giving, where all these people were saying, I appreciate you, so thank you so much, and it was great, it was awesome. I then was feeling, after that, kind of a little bit burnt out, and I was kind of feeling like I wanted some me time, and I need that, and I need to have balance, and I need to have my own time and things like that, and I did some things for myself, but it's never enough. With me, it's always, when I think about getting versus giving, it's never, I can never get too much. And that feeds into my addictions, as I talked about before. But I'm in this this rash of self-will. It's all about me. And then someone asked me, I take them to a meeting, and I bring them to the meeting, and I'm there, and they say, can you lead the meeting? And in this meeting, you lead the meeting, and you have to tell your story. And so I initially was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I just wanted to come here and just kind of check it off the list, and so I can go home and sleep. But I said yes, because that's what you do in this program. You say yes, you help people out, you're of service. And I was able to tell my story, and I was able to feel better immediately, because I was giving, and I was getting outside of myself. When I'm focused on myself, all my problems, like I was saying, are so big and so, oh, woe is me. Oh, I didn't get sleep. I was up early. I was helping these people out. Me. And what's interesting though is although I wanted to feel better, although I wanted to feel good, I wanted to have energy. I felt tired. I wanted energy. I then gave. I was then in a position where I had to lead. I had to do something that people don't want to do. I did that thing. I led, and I had energy, I had enthusiasm. People were then thanking me, and everyone was telling me what a great job I did, and all. And it's like, when you give from a vacuum, when there's no expectation, when you're like, I'm not trying to get anything in return. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I give, but I want to get in return. And that to me is not the true source of giving. You got to give from a vacuum, meaning you got to give from, there's no expectation. It's just, I'm going to give, and that's it. And what happens when you give from that place, when you give and you're just giving of yourself, and you're not sitting there going, well, what can I get in return? How much are you going to pay me? What are you going to do for me next? Right? No, it's just giving. There's always I've noticed it comes back to me 10 times. So I give this one lead, and I get back 10 times what I gave out. And it's because I had this little voice in my head that said, no, you're going to lead. And I am learning to turn my will in my life over to God as I understand Him. And I am trying to get away from my will, because when I'm in my will, bad things happen. Like I said, I get into this just depressed states. I think my problems are gigantic. I think that the world is out to get me. I go down these rabbit holes of terror, and I'm not good to myself. I'm not good to other people. it doesn't make my life better, even though we're thinking of ourselves and, hey, I have to protect myself and I have to do these things for myself and I can't give them my time. I can't give them my money. It's my money. I worked hard for that and I can't give them my time. It's my time. I deserve to have this. All these things, they might be true, but just because they're true doesn't mean they're right. And for me, I know that when I am of service and I get outside myself, I feel so much better. And like I said, I get in return. I've noticed that when I give money, it's a weird thing. It's happened my whole life. I would have problems with money and then I would have tons of money. And I realized when I had tons of money, it was the time that I was giving the most. I was giving back the most. I was donating. I used to do this buckets where I would have 10% income saved, 10% invested, and 10% I would give. I would just give freely. And I had so much money at that time. Now maybe it's because I was actually thinking about my money in a more organized way, which I think is going to set you up for success. But even right now, right, I have a lot of the expenses going on and not as much income as I've had, but yet I'm giving a ton. Everywhere I go, I give. And I was buying someone dinner the other night and I'm not thinking so much about, oh, I need this money because I have to have this bill paid for. I'm smart about my money. I understand that I have to pay those bills, but I'm not so insecure about my money and I'm giving. And guess what? I'm getting and it's just like, it just doesn't stop coming in. So I'm sitting there going, man, when you really do attach yourself to this giving mindset and giving actions, because you have the mindset all you want, but if you don't act it out, nothing's gonna materialize. You get back tenfold. And what I mean by 10, you get 10 times more in return than you do whatever it is that you gave, you get back 10 times. And it seems silly because it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. If that was the way the world worked, then the world would look a lot different. Well, I think that the world could look a lot different if we came from that mindset. I really do. And especially in a wealthy nation like I live in what's the nation that I live in? In the United States. I was thinking about the state that I live in a wealthy state like California, in a wealthy part of the state, Orange County. I mean, think about all the benefits and all the things that we have. And there's so many people, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't like growing up here, is they're all about money and they're all about themselves and their image and what they have. And, oh, you don't have what I have, you're not as good as me. But imagine if those people flipped it around and they gave. I mean, just one like little county could change almost the entire state. I truly believe that. I know that because the economy in Silicon Valley is the entire economy for this state of California. That's what makes the California state, I think it's like the top 50, they're in the top 15 economies in the world. So if you put all the countries in order, California would be like, if the United States is number one and China's number two, California just itself, you take a piece of California is 14 or 15. So, but that wealth comes from just one pocket, Silicon Valley, up with Apple and with all of these other tech companies. So that wealth, if it's hoarded, if it's about me and it's about taking, it can taint things, all right? Like I said, the egos and it's about me and it's about what I have versus the giving. If we turn into a culture of giving, imagine how much more wealth we would have. And you're saying, I have to, yes, of course you have, like I said, you have to be organized and you have to be smart. You can't just give until you don't have anything. You have to take care of yourself. But if we came from a openness to give, I think it would benefit even more, because if you just give from that vacuum and someone sees that and they're on the recipient end of getting something from someone that doesn't have anything in return, that then messes with their mind and goes, okay, there are good people in the world. Oh, people do things and they don't, like me, right? I used to think that the only reason why you were being nice or the only reason why that you were doing something was to get something in return. And guess what? My actions then became that, because that's what I saw the world as. When I started seeing that people were giving without having any strings attached, they were just giving and they didn't care about getting back in return, that made an impact on me. And I said, oh, I should do that. And guess what? When I do that, I get more in the long term. But it's only when I have that sense of giving without that string attached, do I actually end up getting? If I give and I have that expectation of getting, it's never enough. Like I said before, it's when I have that mindset of I need something, it's never enough. And you see that with people who have tons of money, tons of cars, tons of houses. It's never enough. It's a sickness. It's an addiction. It's an illness. But if we do the opposite, Tony Robbins talks about these needs, the 6 human needs, but there's 2 human needs that are called the needs of the spirit, and they're called growth and contribution. And he says, when you grow and you contribute, you get all of the other 4 needs. So there's 6 needs, you get the other 4, which is significance, connection and love, certainty and uncertainty. You get these needs that you have to have. But when you don't have to have growth and contribution, but if you do those 2, you get all the rest of them. And I think we're missing so much of that, and we hold on to this certainty or the significance aspect of things because I have this money that's going to make sure that I have the life and I'm significant, I'm powerful because I have these beautiful things. But we miss out on these deeper levels of connection and love and growth and contribution. And if you grow and you contribute and you give back, that's the way that you will actually get even more. You will get even more of those things that you really want. I truly believe. It's been my experience that is true. So I'm trying to stay out of myself. I'm trying to ask the question, what can I give versus what can I get? And when I focus on that, weirdly enough, oddly enough, I tend to get back to me even more than what I expected, or because I have no expectations, I get tons back, but it's even more than I would get even if I had expectations. And that's, to me, a beautiful thing. So that's what I'm working on today. I'm working on being thankful from Thanksgiving, but I'm working on continuing the giving part, thanks and giving, and I'm continuing to be giving because that helps me get out of self. Thank you.